Pokemon has become a main staple in the collectible industry, with different products selling for thousands of dollars. But what are some of the Pokemon products that are worth a lot of money that you may even have in your attic? And to start this list, we're going to talk about the Black and White era Pokemon cards. These cards most people would not think anything of and would just be locked in a binder in their attic. However, if you look a little bit closer, you will see that these cards can go for a very pretty penny. Much like the next product on our list, which is the old Pokemon games. These Pokemon games are still very sought after, with copies of Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald selling nowadays for anywhere up to $110, making these old games worth a surprising amount of money. And speaking of old games, Pokemon spin-off games are even more collectible than the mainline games, due to them having considerably less amount produced. This means iconic games like Pokemon Colosseum and Pokemon Stadium are very valuable. But that's it for the games. What about the consoles? Well, next up we have the limited edition Pokemon consoles, such as the Pokemon X and Y 3DS, which nowadays will sell for around $1,000, which is extravagant. But even consoles such as the iconic Pikachu Game Boy are also incredibly valuable. Speaking of Pikachu, in at number 16 we have the vintage plushies of Pikachu from the late 90s, which can nowadays sell for northwards of $350, meaning this random plushie you could still have in your attic could be worth a very pretty penny. And that leads into the next product, which are the Pokemon coins. These coins are used for battle in the TCG, but I bet you did not know that these coins can actually be graded by PSA, and then the value of them ramps up massively, with some of these even selling for $400. Next up we have the vintage Pokemon cards. Now, it would not be a list about expensive products without mentioning the vintage Pokemon cards. People who were collecting Pokemon cards in the 90s may have no idea how much their collection is now worth, so definitely check out your collection after you have watched this video. In at number 13 you have the Pokemon toys. Pokemon has had a long history with toy production, and some of these toys have become considerably rarer and therefore collectible, such as the Marble Pokemon toys, featuring Pokemon like Blastoise, Charizard, and more. While we're on the topic of toys, it's definitely worth checking if you have the Pokemon Center XY collectible toy set, since this set has gone down as one of the most iconic toy lines Pokemon ever created for its exceptional design and quality. And from toys to clothing, Pokemon has had numerous clothing lines throughout the years and has collaborated with countless brands to produce their clothing, but none are quite as bizarre as this Marill outfit, which could be in your attic as a childhood cosplay. And what better to go with a Pokemon outfit than your very own wearable Pokedex, as this is what you could get during the Black and White era of Pokemon. This came with gloves, a Pikachu, and of course the Generation 5 Pokedex. Speaking of Pokedexes, you could also have the interactive Pokedex from X and Y. This Pokedex would work the exact same way as the Pokedex from X and Y, with an interactive touchscreen, a database of Pokemon from the game, and even allowing you to catch Pokemon yourself. Speaking of catching Pokemon yourself, the Pokewalkers would let you walk with Pokemon while away from your Nintendo DS. You'll be able to catch other Pokemon and take your buddy along with you using these devices from Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Since these are only for the one game, they have become surprisingly rare, and nowadays will sell for $100 plus, which is a relief to me as I own 3 of them. In at number 7, we have the bizarre and limited world of Pokemon board games. Believe it or not, countless Pokemon board games have been developed throughout the decades, and none have become more sought after than the Pokemon Master Trainer board game from the late 90s. This could be in a random board game box somewhere in your attic, so make sure you check. Now, we've spoken about all these things you may find in your attic, but what would they be stored in? Well, containers. And a lot of tins and containers have become quite rare and sought after, including certain tins from the TCG and of course official Pokemon kitchenware. These are the types of products that no one would think of keeping, and that is why they have become so rare. When you think of the types of products people throw away and never properly keep, you would be thinking of paper products, or products that should not be valuable. Well, how about a Pokemon boarding pass for an airline? Well, that is what ANA did back in the 90s, when they partnered with Pokemon before it became so big, and that's what makes these boarding passes very, very rare. Heading into the top 4, we will start by mentioning the vintage collection of Pokemon toys you can find out there. Before Pokemon took all their production in-house, there was a line of toys produced by Tommy Toys, and these products have become some of the most sought after vintage toys out there, often fetching prices well above $100. Now, let's head into the top 3 with a bang, and let's talk about some of the rarest Pokemon jewelry. A lot of people get this jewelry and let it fester at the bottom of an old jewelry box, but some of these jewelry pieces are worth a lot of money nowadays, and should definitely be rooted up. In our penultimate position, we would be remiss to not talk about the Shadowless Pokemon cards, a considerably rarer version of the base set Pokemon cards that very few people can say they have. These Pokemon cards have become incredibly sought after and could be sat in a binder in your attic. And finally, we have the rarest Pokemon product in the world, the 1997 Pokemon official vending machines. Created by Bandai, these vending machines would give out cards to people who use them, and nowadays these will sell for $30,000 or more. Check out some of my other videos here, and thank you for watching.